What up, everybody? We need to talk. We need to go over a lot of shit. A lot of shit. Um, Look at me. I'm not even set up. I was grabbing links and shit that all the way up into a few minutes ago. We got a lot to talk about. So share this out, everybody. We're going to be going over Charlie Kirk stuff, my style. We're going to go over the details. We're going to talk about the stuff, a little bit of the timeline where things don't make sense to me. Where Candace Owens doesn't do her own damn research and she just trusts mainstream media. Muted? Not muted. Can you guys hear me? I see it on my screen and I see here. Mood lighting. Oh, yeah. No. Okay. I'm really confused. All right. I take it you must be muted, Terry, because I am not muted. So when it comes down to this, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about political parties. We're going to talk about people of political parties. All right, I see you guys. Thank you. All right. It was Terry. She's going to be back. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk, the timeline a little bit, the gun. I told you guys all I questioned the gun after talking to a friend, and then I came across a picture of what seems like the rifle. Not the exact rifle that was used, but another one that was imported. I'm wrong. I think that rifle is correct. I questioned it at the beginning, but by what I saw, it seems accurate. Just sucks. We're in 2025 and we can't get a high quality picture out of anybody. We get grainy shit out of our police department, out of the DOJ. We can't get a decent photo out of these people? Really? Well, it's the government. What do you expect? You don't expect them to be doing everything that makes a whole lot of sense. Terry can hear now. Welcome. Yeah, we got a lot to go over. And like I said, it's in my style. We're going to go into some details. We're going to get into the weeds because we need to break up some of these narratives. Part of it is Candace Owens. I have been sent so many links by people watching Candace Owens and wanting my thoughts, and Candace Owens just needs to shut the fuck up. That's what she needs to do. Because she is clearly not doing her own research. She is clearly just regurgitating bullshit and not actually understanding the situation. And I'm not talking about the Jews. Like, I'm going to make this clear. Like, we are not making this show about the Jews. We're not doing any of that because you guys know me. I don't do that shit. Could there be some bad Jews? Absolutely. But there's enough Jew haters out there on the internet. Go follow them. I am not me. It's not me. And you're on the wrong channel if that's what you want. But we need to talk about like her narrative of what she's pushing and stuff that she is really not doing research as she should be, being the high profile person she is. But we're going to get to that a little bit later. Yeah, Sarah, I agree with you. I agree. Candace Owens, I used to like her a lot. Those of you, Sarah is included. Charles, I see you, buddy. You guys know I listened to Candace Owens early on when we were doing Truth Will Set You Free, Conservengers, and all of that stuff with Cash and Russo. Candace Owens, I liked her. Seemed like something really changed a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but not too long ago. And it went off of this crazy rail of everything's the Jews. But I said we are not getting into that. But that is the history. I did like her. I did follow her. Her even pace of talking and all of that in some of the videos I just recently watched. I don't remember you talking like that. That changed. So that's also interesting, but not really what matters. What really matters is you guys sharing this out so we can get more people in here, and we are going to go into the details. And I'm going to start with one that is going to probably ruffle some feathers. So I'll warn you right now, but please share it out. Because we're going to go into political parties and how they're fucking dangerous, and you shouldn't be just going to them and trusting everything that's going on. This all comes back from the first guy that was arrested, that was the shooter, supposedly, at the very beginning. that he was the shooter of Charlie Kirk. He even said, "I'm the shooter, I'm the shooter." And then they arrested him and he said, "I have the right to remain silent." And he remained silent. And then we found some stuff later. She has some serious PTSD. Something like that, Judy. Something. I don't know what, but something. And we're going to start with the lovely Utah County. Utah County is the county that all of this took place. Because I want to give you guys, actually, let's not start there. Let's start with George Zinn's history. So George Zinn is, let me pull up a picture of him. Let me just Google that real quick and I can show you guys. It was this guy. Copy image address. And we're going to pull this up here. Share screen, share screen. Where in the world? There we go. Couldn't find the tab. All right. So this guy right here is the guy that was arrested because he was, when, excuse me, Charlie Kirk was shot. He screamed, "I'm the shooter, I'm the shooter." And then everybody came and addressed him and was talking to him. And he there's a video out there that he said, "I have the right to remain silent. I have the right to remain silent." And I question this because he says, like, they're saying the government, the lovely government, and the investigators are saying there's no connection between these two, between this guy and Tyler Robinson. And there's no connection. But why in the hell would you just scream in the middle of a freaking event after someone was just shot, "I'm the shooter, I'm the shooter"? It just makes absolutely zero sense. Zero sense. But they arrested him. They went through some of the process, and that's what I also want to go over with you is, let's stop sharing. He's creating a reasonable doubt. Sure. This was magically released by Utah County. That's the URL up here. Utah County. It's their logo. And then this is their website of addressing George Zinn. The arrest of George Zinn statement. This is just the beginning, guys. Just the fucking beginning with this individual. So George Zinn's statement, press release, the following statement concerning the arrest of George Zinn. On 9/10, Utah Valley University, George Zinn was attending the event where a shooting occurred. Shortly after the shooting occurred, while people were fleeing the area, Zinn was seen yelling he had shot Charlie Kirk. So he was doing this to cause a distraction, supposedly not involved, to cause a distraction. Even the officers were saying that they're not sure it was him. There's video evidence of that. You can go and find that on X. It's all there. They were just saying that he said, so they're taking him in because the officers were responding to a very chaotic crowd saying, shoot me type of thing, because they were upset, rightfully so. But let's get into the dirt here. While Zinn was in the hospital, an FBI agent and agent from Utah State Bureau of Investigations, SBI, met with Zinn, who agreed to speak with them concerning the matter. Zinn admitted that he had yelled that he was the shooter and allowed the actual suspect to flee and to hinder law enforcement. Okay, we already went over that. During the interview, the agents asked to look at Zinn's phone, and Zinn agreed to let them. Zinn told the agents that he uses his phone to view and abuse child sexual abuse material. So they found this on this guy's phone. All right. So that is concerning. First of all, why in the world did my mouse not want to work? There we go. So that's found on his phone. All right. Why is this coming out on 8:45 yesterday? Many other people talked about this and it started to come out. Why was this held for 6 days? 6 days it was held. And we finally get a full release on it because this guy right here, so I skipped a statement. Zinn began to have a medical issue and was transported to the hospital. I missed that note, guys. That was happening, and that's why he was in the hospital after he was arrested on the day of the shooting. Okay. And then after that, they looked into it. Turns out during incident on 9/15, a search warrant was obtained by UCSO, SVU investigators for Zinn's phone during a preliminary review of the phone. The investigators did a view of over 20 message images of children ranging from 5 to 12 in various stages of undress and other posing that I'm not going to say. The part that I don't understand, he admitted to this in the hospital. In the hospital. That was the day of the shooting. 9/15, the warrant was obtained. Now, of course, there's due process, there's time, there's all of these things that need to take place, right? So I completely understand that needs to happen. But where this entire thing starts falling apart, why didn't we do that with the Charlie Kirk stuff? Everything with the shooter. We were releasing everything right away. We released text messages yesterday, which we're going to go over. Why in the hell is everything like with this guy, even though we don't even know for sure if he was involved or not, in my opinion. No one goes to these rallies and yells shit like that unless they have some reason to. Why weren't we told on 9/10 or 9/11, for example, hey, this is what they found after why didn't they release this statement saying, hey, this guy was also handled like with this? Because now here's where we start getting even more confusing. George Zinn is currently being held in the Utah County Jail. When we had a shooter, we released him. There was confusion about that. And then even a few minutes later, my dumbass governor, which we're going to get to in a minute on more shit with that dumbass and George Zinn, my dumbass governor is sitting there saying we have the suspect in custody when 5 minutes prior, the FBI or one of the investigators were saying at the same damn microphone that he was speaking into, we let this guy go. So none of these stories are adding up. None of them. And it's not in such the way that everybody in the other parts of the country are talking. They're not making any sense because they're trying to claim other shit. Yeah, Russ, I hear you. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. But he is currently being held in jail for a second felony of obstruction of justice, second felony sexual exploitation of a minor, and 4 counts of that. At this time, there is no information that George Zinn actually concluded with the shooter. None. Supposedly. That's if we want to trust what we are being told. Now, I have a different stance than a lot of people on this. Like, everybody's trying to connect these dots, come up with conspiracies. I wish we would stop. But they're trying to do shit that just doesn't make any sense, but doesn't bring any value. This guy, with all of the shit that we have, and I'm going to go over it here in just a minute. We're going to go over this guy's history. We're going to go over what political party he's been showing up at their events. And he's been showing up to even events that I probably was at because he was at a candidate that I supported. And still support, by the way. That has not changed. But he was also a big fan of the GOP chair, and that was part of a whole thing, and we'll go over that. This is where George Zinn has a crazy history. Not to mention, we go back, that's just political history that I was kind of alluding to. Is this the conspiracy fact hotline? Absolutely, Jim Bob. Absolutely. So when it comes to George Zinn, he was also put in jail for threatening to bomb the Salt Lake City Marathon. Now, that's where his picture and a little bit of his history started coming out. He's also been at rallies and not not really been, let's say, civil. He's been a protest, not been civil. He's always been a troublemaker. So him saying, I was the shooter, I was a shooter, maybe he likes attention, or I don't know, but this guy is really messed up, and there's a lot of things with it, but we got to go over the stuff that's coming out here locally in Utah on who this guy's affiliated with and all of the details that keep coming out with him and why I keep saying both parties suck. Because when we start looking at this stuff, you're going to see he hung out with some of the leaders of the GOP. He did all kinds of things inside of political parties and rallies and things, trying to act like he was doing something of value. But he's really this fucking shithead that no one should be associating with. None. As you can see, we just went over the statement released from the Utah County Sheriff's Department. Clearly, this guy shouldn't be doing any of this garbage, shouldn't even be, in my opinion, walking this planet, because someone that does this is trash. They're not a contributor to society, and they need help. All right, let's get into this. So let's start with the first one, the very first one. This was released by the GOP chair. Actually, let's not get into the GOP chair yet. I want this one. We're going to get into the GOP chair right after this picture, which, by the way, this tweet's gone. This tweet is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And what the freak? That one? Yes. This tweet. Michael Mower, congrats to my good friend, Robert Axon, on his election as the chair of the Utah GOP at UVU, by the way, which is where everything was held for Charlie Kirk. He will do a terrific job with George Zinn. And that is the dipshit right there. So when we're talking about fucking political parties, this is why, one of the biggest reasons why I say it's a problem. Everybody thinks because someone just says the same thing as you do and they're a part of your same political party, they're good. How much do you look into the people that you meet at political parties? None, right? How much do you look into who they hang out with? This is the GOP chair of Utah hanging out with George Zinn, one which was 10 years prior to this called in a bomb threat to the Salt Lake City Marathon. And then during the Charlie Kirk shooting was yelling, I'm the shooter, I'm the shooter. And then was arrested and caught with child porn on his phone. This is where when you are blindly following a party and saying this is where you get your ass in trouble. We need to be starting to really do our diligence and really look at things with an open eye and make sure we're doing the right thing. I'm not saying go around and vet every single person, but if we weren't just associating with a party and saying my party's right, my party's perfect, the left is bad, or the left is always saying the right is bad, my party's great, you would have less of this. Because then you would actually, in the political arena, you would start looking into things and making sure you're doing right, good decisions. But no, everything because you're associated with this party, it's safe, it's good. Hence why Mitt Romney got elected. Or another one from Utah, Celeste Malloy, which you guys hear from me all the time. She's in the House. She is no different than Mitt Romney. She didn't even live or own property here in Utah when she was elected. The lieutenant governor scooted her through the process and made her, allowed her to get elected. This is where corruption comes in at its best, guys. Now we got some more stuff. We got some more stuff here. All right. And the GOP chair the Utah GOP released this statement this afternoon. The Utah Republican Party and I strongly condemn the callous and despicable behavior of George Zinn. For over 20 years, many Utahns at various public and Republican events showed grace to someone with clear mental challenges. There is no excuse for Zinn's actions. He abused the patience of Utahns and added to the evil seen in our state and obstructed law enforcement. His possession of child abuse material is reprehensible and demands punishment. We pray he faces the full extent of the law if he is ever released. George Zinn will not be welcome at any Utah Republican Party event. Wait a minute. Okay. Do you not want to address why you're hanging out with this guy? He's in your your celebratory post that you got elected as GOP chair of Utah, for God's sakes. Anybody want to address this? Yes, Kilburn. He was registered as a Republican. And that's known. I thought that was well known amongst everybody. He's registered as a Republican. This is where parties get evil. This is where George Washington warned us about political parties in his farewell address. Political parties are evil, and it allows corruption to set in. This is why you should not trust parties like this. The red and the blue teams are so powerful inside politics. They get away with everything because they have scapegoats everywhere. You don't believe, you guys all know me. We've been saying P. Diddy is a scapegoat. We were saying Sam Bankman-Fried, scapegoat. We've been saying all of this other stuff, and we get scapegoats. We don't get real accountability. We want to see perp walks. We want to see politicians held accountable. We want this shit to end. You can't do that when you keep participating in this bullshit. You need to be extracting yourself from these parties that keep finding ways to get out of these situations. Everybody that's registered a Republican should be register unaffiliated like tomorrow. That is the only way you fix it. And guess what? I know everybody in the GOP is rolling their eyes, probably blocking me, and I don't give a fuck. This is where everything starts going south. You trust political parties and the people that are there because they're saying the right things and they're doing all of this and doing all of that. But no, there are issues with this. Lots of issues. And I know it. I know so many of you people are probably getting mad and about to turn me off or already have because I'm calling out the right. You guys should know this by now. I don't pick sides. Well, let me back that up. I pick sides. My side is America and Americans. That's what I back. I don't give a fuck about your political party. I don't give a shit about it. I want to make sure we're doing the right thing for America and my state and my county and my area. Yes, I'm referring to you, Kilburn. No, I'm kidding. When it comes down to this entire freaking situation, it is absolutely insane that this stuff is just brushed under the rug. Now, let's get into this a little bit more. So, Phil Lyman, shout out to Phil Lyman. He is one that ran for the GOP chair. I supported that, even though I couldn't help him because I'm not registered as a Republican. I refuse. But he ended up having in here minus 100 Kilburn. Exactly. There you go, Kilburn. Minus 100 for you. Now, sorry, now I'm changed it all up on me. Here we go. Phil Lyman posted this earlier. Let's see if we can get a better view there. There we go. Endorsed by Utah, October 21st, 2021. This is going into the primaries. I believe the primaries were already done. So this is after the primaries. And look who endorsed our lovely governor. Hey, you guys already know I hate Governor Cox. I absolutely despise him. I do not think he serves us. I think he serves other people and entities before Americans and Utahns specifically. George Hodgson-Zinn. I can't say that middle name very well, but that is the same guy. Feel free to Google it. Feel free to look it up. You can go and do it right now. You just put that into Google. You automatically pull up the history and see it. Endorsement from George Zinn. Spencer Cox knows Utah and how things work. He gets it done as governor. Spencer would reach out to every community from rural to urban. Okay. This is also gone. So when it comes down to this guy, because here's another link that I need to go over, because this is also going around. Like, this is the problem with political parties, is everybody's pointing fingers at each other instead of actually fucking solving the issue. Zinn loves Cox. Facts. That needs to be a t-shirt. That needs to be a t-shirt, Free. Well done. Well done. So here's more. Here's more. This was done by Mike Carey, 23-year construction exec, now consultant, political refugee from the East Coast. He's Salt Lake County Republican Party chair. So he's my Salt Lake County chair. Wait, I thought Casey told me the government loves me and is the only looking out for my best interest. Jim Bob, you are very misinformed. I don't know how much you had to drink that night or what you consumed, but that is definitely not my message. But here's another problem. This guy, you guys recognize this guy in this picture? This guy. We see my mouse right here. That is George Zinn at Phil Lyman's rally. It looks like this is at the Capitol, if I recall correctly. Yeah, this is at, I believe this is the steps at Utah Capitol. He is at that big arrow, the big yellow arrow there. This is that dumbass. That dumbass. Phil Lyman, again, so you guys don't correlate this. I do support Phil. I like Phil a lot. You guys have seen him on the podcast multiple times when we did Truth Will Set You Free and when he was running. So I'm a fan. But this shows you what we run into with political parties, these people. This guy endorsed Governor Cox, but was at a Phil Lyman rally when Phil Lyman was running against Governor Cox. So this guy really doesn't know what the fuck is going on or is doing it for his own self-interest in some way. I don't know what, but this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is what happens when you don't have any how do I want to phrase that? This is what happens when you blindly trust, especially in politics and in government. You have this individual showing up to different rallies and causing problems, and he has a history of causing problems at political rallies. This individual, in my opinion, is useless, and everybody should be kicking his ass out. Everybody. There's many Republicans in Utah that are going around and calling this out or saying, oh, I'm not associated with him and trying to back away. The part that I don't understand is how in the hell is he all up in all of these? He's in the celebratory picture of, a GOP chair and then endorsed by Utah by George Zinn. How did all of these things come out when no one's really noticed that he's switching sides and playing both sides? Like, you want to talk about rhinos all the time, Republicans. How did you not catch this bullshit? And then you think you're going to take on politicians that have been doing it for decades? You can't even look at your peers and know someone's playing both sides. This is absolutely insane. This is where the politics in Utah, when I tell you guys, it's bad here. It's really bad. Very few people understand this, even here in Utah. Everybody says it's a red state. It's so great. No, it's not. No, it's not. Utah it was pretty decent for a long time. Up until, I don't know, I think the Olympics is when things really started going south. the Olympics really brought money into the state and ruined it. Blind trust is the same as sheep following someone off the 7 Mile Bridge, in my opinion. Facts, Terry. I agree with you. This is where I warn you guys. Just because this entire thing exposes, like, you need to make sure who you're following, you're doing the right thing, and supporting the right people. Now, look around when you're showing up to political events and know who you're with. Because if this guy was up to no good and no one caught this, no one caught this, really? This guy is a problem. And I don't go to a whole lot of GOP garbage here in Utah because I'm not registered Republican. I can't participate in the primaries. I can't do a whole lot of things with the Republicans, and so I don't go. Now, I went to Phil Lyman's stuff. I was there in a lot of them. This one, actually, since I realized it was at the Capitol, I don't remember being at any Phil Lyman stuff at the Capitol. I did quite a few things with Utah Patriots. We did podcasts with them. And so all of these things, this just exposes the garbage that's in politics, and we need to be questioning everything on what's going on. Random endorsements for the shitty governor we have came from this special individual. And it gets weird because when you know the history of my governor, he is a big pronoun supporter, huge pronoun supporter. And it was even addressing in his videos back in 2020 and 2021 what his pronouns are and how he prefers to be addressed. All of the bullshit, that propaganda that the government puts out. He was doing all of that, and then turns out he's being endorsed by some pedo guy. Like, okay. This is where you got to start looking at things carefully and making sure that you're associated with the right people, you support the right people. Blindly trusting in politics is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Zinn is a Republican vagabond wandering around thinking he's important. Yeah. Like, why would you claim you're a Republican and then while you're at a Charlie Kirk event at UVU, and after the gun goes off and you claim you're the shooter, but you are a Republican? Very weird. Very weird. You also have history of calling in a bomb threat to Salt Lake City Marathon, have issues at current other protests. And this guy traveled, guys. Like, everybody's making a big deal in Utah, and I was going to touch on this here in a little bit, but they're making a big deal about the shooter driving from southern Utah down in Washington, Utah, all the way up to Orem, where the university is. It's a 4-hour drive or so. That's nothing. Everybody's making a big deal about a 4-hour drive. They must not live on the West Coast because 4-hour drives out here are common. Hell, for me to go buy my Jeep, I drove 3 hours north just to go get a Jeep. Like, it's not insane. It's kind of normal out here because we don't live in the big city. There's big gaps between cities. But a 4-hour drive from southern Utah up to Orem, technically the biggest city closest to them north is Orem. Like, that's where you're going to find malls. That's where you're going to find all of the things. So a lot of people do that drive. It's not abnormal. Only people in other states that are commenting on shit that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about are saying shit like that. But all in all, my message with this is make sure you understand, like, who you're associated with. Are you supporting the right people? Do your diligence. Look into them. Because if you just Googled George Zinn before this event, you would have found he was arrested in 2013 for calling it a bomb threat. It's not that big of a deal. Exactly, Russ. 85 miles an hour. Well, I think is it 85 or 80? Yeah, it's you can drive really fast on our highways in between the big cities. Right? You can drive pretty fast. all in all, when it comes down to this stuff, guys, we got to be more careful and not blindly follow any politician, blindly follow anybody that is involved in politics or involved in politics. You got to make sure that you know who you're working with. You got to make sure that the people that are around you, you really need to do that. You need to make sure that you're propping up the right people. The GOP clearly was accepting everything from him, everything, and super involved somehow. I don't recall ever meeting this individual. I don't. There's a lot of people, as you see, Phil Lyman in small Utah. He had decent people here that day. It looks like it even was bad weather, but I don't know. This is stood out to me exactly why we were warned by George Washington on party politics. I heard today that Discord was scraped today. 2.1 terabytes of info and chat logs. Yeah, be careful with that. Could have been. It's Discord's choice on how they want to do that. And I'm curious on you guys, what your guys' perspective. Does Discord have any fault in this? Because it was a platform used to communicate? I want to know what you guys think. Throw that in the comments and then in the chat. Do you guys really think that Discord should be held accountable for something? I don't think they do. I don't think they should. It was a platform used and they allowed things. There was no planning. It was just discussion of the event that happened, I believe, after the fact. But if there was planning and stuff, but they're saying that wasn't, could never figure out how to use Discord. Discord's easy, Julia. It's easy. It's much easier than learn to X on X at the first time. Like X is a little bit more complicated than Discord. No Discord is not liable. Facts, Chris. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. All right, let's get into this a little bit more. I've already spent enough time on dipshit, and I believe he just belongs in a wood chipper, but that's okay. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time on that because most of you know my stance with it. With Charlie Kirk, some of the stuff I wanted to go over and talk about, let's talk about Candace Owens. Let's do that. Let me pull up her video, and we're going to go over that first. So Candace Owens came out and said this. This is the narrative being pushed by Candace Owens. Well, not by her. She is repeating what she heard. But if she actually investigated, like someone should, you would find that what she says here is incorrect. We'll play this.
But 12:23 p.m. is when Charlie Kirk is shot. Okay.
Can you guys hear that? Give me a thumbs up, please.
12:23 p.m. is when that in that same minute is when we have footage that shows us that as the crowd ducks and it's blurry, the shooter runs across the rooftop. I'm going to tell you why that's significant. So 12:23, Charlie Kirk is shot, and we are going to have an angle of that and the image of the black person in black, rather, that is running across the rooftop. Take a look at this.
Thanks, guys.
They're down, clearly. And right away, look at that, okay? And we have another, so the footage shows us, there's another actually clip that I was looking for, Skylar, there, that it actually shows him running across the rooftop. You guys may have seen it. The reason why that footage is problematic, as you start to see them ducking and then you see the shooter immediately start moving across the rooftop, is that their narrative is that he disassembled the gun and then started running. So that's a bit confusing to us of how he was able to do that so quickly. An unbelievable amount of hunters, guns, people that reached out to me and said, that just didn't happen. They have exactly as Michael said, that did not happen. There is no way that happened. That cannot be accurate.
That cannot be accurate. That is correct. Because it didn't happen. There was no breaking down of the rifle. And we're going to touch on the video a little bit. We're going to touch on the video and talk about it on the roof. It's a shitty video. Coming back to what I said earlier, It's 2025. Can we not get HD and 4K cameras, please? All of this stuff that keeps getting released is absolutely shitty quality. The photo of the gun, grainy and blurry as shit. We can't get a good picture of it. It's magically in a freaking box for some reason, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's how it's taken into evidence." Okay, fine, I'll give you that, but can we not get a picture of it with the towel as you go and pick it up, or anything like that? We get a grainy picture of it randomly in a box. Good God, guys! Do something smart to keep the stupid people from doing their dumb shit with the conspiracies.
Then, and this is obviously the craziest part of everything, we have Decoy Boy, right? So it happens, and suddenly this guy, George Zinn, gets arrested.
Our friend.
He's making noise. He's signaling that he's somehow shot the guy. And at 12:52, it gets announced that the suspect is in custody. So nobody needs to look around anymore because this suspect in custody. But actually,
Supposedly.
I guess George Zinn just does that. He just does that, I guess, like just wants people to think he's done something but he hasn't actually done anything. That, again, to me feels like he's a decoy. Like,
exactly,
more
Andrew.
people are involved in this, and I will say that we don't know, but we know that something's wrong with this.
So my issue with what she said the narrative they're pushing, he collapsed the gun and was putting it in the backpack, is not the narrative that was put out by the press conferences. That was not the narrative said by anybody in the police department. There was some speculation early on, but it was never really said by them that he broke it down. If you actually go back and look at it, let me go and show you the video by News Nation. News Nation. Oh, geez. Thanks for the ad, YouTube. Let's hang on, give it a second. Here, skip the stupid ad, get rid of that pop-up. There we go. Let me show you this piece of garbage. That the news was just doing the news shit. Like, can we not get real data and real information? This was released the day after. The day after, when we already had a picture of the rifle. This, I assume, was released later, because the rifle was found early in the morning on September 11th, per the timeline. So this is what News Nation said. Oh, I got to fix the audio. There we go. Let me roll this back. Hang on.
There are aftermarket accessories that would allow you to break this gun down.
True.
He selected a bolt action because this is typically the choice for a long range sniper. A bolt action looks like this. It has very few moving pieces. When you put the bolt forward and engage around, it locks in place. And because nothing happens after you pull the trigger except the click, the amount of gas pressure in the barrel remains consistent. And that's why this type of gun is preferred for long range shots.
And it doesn't expel the cartridge either, which I learned. So he took that cartridge with him, and it was found inside the gun, according to some reports, along with some others in a magazine. How quickly, if it is broken down, because it doesn't look like he's jumping with a long rifle tucked in his leg. It looks like it's got to be in that backpack. So how quickly could he break it down if he needed to break it down?
A second or two.
Lies. A second or two is an absolute lie. Let's let this continue.
What?
Literally just push a button and wrap it around, push it.
He's talking about a collapsible stock. The rifle that was released, the picture of the rifle that was released early in the morning by New York Post, when this video came out, the picture that was released shows it is a static stock. It is not a collapsible stock. So what the hell are they doing here? What are they doing? Did they even try to do journalism? Same with Candace Owens, repeating this bullshit. Not calling it out what it is. She's repeating it. You really need to actually fucking understand shit before you talk about it. Like, you can break guns down. I just bought me a new muzzle loader for the elk hunt. Like, I can take that down, take the barrel off. It's more than 1 second. It'll probably take me 20, 30 seconds to take it all apart. And then it would fit in a backpack. Sure, it would. And actually, it was quite surprising. When I got the gun, I realized how easily it broke down and everything. It was quite nice. But this shows he's describing a collapsible stock. That's not what we're talking about. And we already had the picture by the time this was put out, and by the time Candace Owens did her fucking video and everybody was sharing yesterday.
What?
Literally just push a button and wrap it around, push another button and wrap it back. They're designed to be able to be put into full length mode or compact mode extremely quickly.
Well, that would make perfect sense. Given what we've now seen, Steve, and I think a lot of that video is brand new since we called you earlier today. Now we're seeing him running to the edge of the building, jumping off that building.
Here's another thing. When that video was released of the guy running, we already had the fucking picture of the rifle. So that confirms 100% that these guys didn't even fucking do journalism. Same with Candace Owens. Just blindly just going off of mainstream media and talking points is exactly what Jim Bob is talking about. They're incredibly intelligent. Insane, guys. Foldable stock. That's what they're claiming, is a foldable stock in this video. And just for a record, right here, September 11th is when this was released. Like, this whole thing, why in the hell? We know, and we're going to get into more in the timeline of how all of this works out, because the timeline gets even more messy when you start talking about these text messages and the texts that were sent, and we don't have timestamps with them. What the fuck? Because some of this timeline is starting to fall apart because of all of this shit. Terry says, as someone who knows very little about guns, even I would ask someone I trusted that doesn't know about it. There you go. There you go. This is where you have to trust. You have to know who you're following. You have to trust what they're saying. You have to do a little bit of diligence. I tell you guys to go look up the shit that I'm looking at. I'll show you guys on the screen, but please go and look it up for yourselves. I don't want you to blindly trust me. I'll tell you where to go find it. Or I'll post links for it. I don't need you to blindly trust me. I want everybody to do their own research, because if you're all relying on me, not that you guys are, if everybody's relying on some talking head on this damn screen and camera, this country's going to fail. You can't do that. You need to be involved. You need to look into it. You need to spread the information. You need to do some diligence just to make sure that you know what you're sharing is correct. The internet's full of a bunch of fake shit. Look at everybody going around for this Charlie Kirk thing and all of the bullshit that's being spread. I have not seen so much bullshit spread about a big political event as much as I have this one. This one's horrible. Horrible. It's a little bit why I get so hyped up with this. Is I can't believe the shit that gets spread and people trust it. All right, let's do this. Hang on. Let's jump into the next thing here. Jim Bob, if everybody's expecting me to be doing it, we're gonna fail, guys. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll do the diligence. I'll go through things, but if it's all on my shoulders, we're in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Kilburn, you mean I should expect nothing from the Broncos? Hey, we're 1-1. Leave me alone. Just because a defensive lineman put his hands on a center during a field goal kick and then got a penalty, we would be 2-0 right now. We'd be 2-0. But whatever. This is not a sports show. This is a political show. Chris says, gonna fail. We're circling the toilet already. Dude, I'm telling you. Everybody's got to be doing their own research, doing their research. You guys know me. If you message me, I'm happy to respond, tell you what I think. I'm always an open book and just being honest. Like, that's bullshit. Don't even go down that path. But I get why it's so complicated, because you have so many talking heads talking in this microphone, staring at this camera, and looking at the screen, telling you they know everything. We can't trust that. It's no different than George Zinn at a fucking political rally. You can't trust that. Everybody that goes to political rallies doesn't mean that they're all your friends, and doesn't mean that they're there to actually support the candidate that's running or putting on the rally. We proved that today. George Zinn is showing up to rallies on both sides. Revelations is my go-to. I agree with you, Kilburn. I agree with you. Well said. When it comes down to this entire thing, it's frustrating, guys. I wish we could all just make sure we're sharing the truth. I wish all of the talking heads on the internet would shut up and just share the truth instead of trying to come up with their conspiracy and go viral on the internet, because that's all they're doing. Next to, let's pull up the next thing real quick and show you. How many yards, guys, for some of you already knew because I already brought it up. How many yards was the shot that you guys all got? How many yards were you guys told was this shot? And then we're going to go over that. I'm going to talk to you guys about it and show you guys some of the details. How many yards? Throw it in the comments. Tell me while I pull up on Google Maps the UVU campus. And that is not it. My question is, why can't companies say we don't want to be involved in this tragedy? It's like it's Twilight and we have to be Team Edward. What's his face? Sorry, I did not follow that series. I didn't follow you either, Amy. I didn't follow you either, Amy. That series is a mess to me. My wife loved it. She did. We even went to Forks, Washington. I had no idea what we were doing there. I just knew it was part of a movie series thing. Gosh dang it. Where in the world is UVU? There we go. Here's UVU. We share the screen. Kilburn says 138 to 200. Terry says 200. Chris says 145. Julia says 200. Most of the narrative says 200, guys. 200 shot, 200 yards. And I want to show you guys where the shooter was at. And we'll pull up the pictures so you guys can know. Let me see if I got those. I don't think. Hang on. It can't be hard to pull it up. Our lovely, there we go. That's the one I'm talking about. Right here. So I'm going to have this one ready. And I'm going to show you guys. So these are pictures that were released of how this whole thing went down. 200 yards. I lived in Port Angeles. It was crazy. All right. 145 from Angela. So let's go over these pictures. So one, why are there guys already on the roof above Charlie Kirk? We're going to get a better picture there. But this picture off to the right, oh, my cursor doesn't show up. The picture in the bottom right is where it's at, is where he was positioned. It looks like he was potentially laying down on the roof because of how, like all the roughs in the gravel. I think this is a gravel roof, which is quite common in a little bit older buildings in Utah. But you see in the picture in the top right, you have that big white piece of paper, and then I don't know what the orange things indicate. It's probably either his prone position, him being laying down, or if he had some other stabilizing system for the rifle. I don't know. The important thing that I want to point out to you guys is in that top right picture, you can see exactly where the tent is that Charlie Kirk was under. The peak of the roof, I believe that is in that photo that sticks out right in the middle there. That roof, I believe that is where the cafeteria is now. But you could see straight shot, right? Just straight shot. How in the freak? I got to go and get a better picture. I want to know this picture that was taken on the left, those two arrows, the pink arrow, the green arrow, showed two guys on the roof. Two guys on the roof. Why were they there? But they didn't see this guy. Did they not know? All right, let's get back into Google Maps. Let me show you a little bit. So Google Maps, we have the campus. So where the shooter was at, right here, Hall of Flags, is where Charlie Kirk's tent was at. You can tell by the recessed into the ground what it is, and then you got the everything. Where he was on the roof was right here. How do I know that? This peaked roof right here that was sticking out was in his way. He had a straight shot right from this corner, right here, down. I've seen graphs showing he was over here because he ran over here. I've seen people say he was in all kinds of places. He was on this roof over here. No, you can tell, and we're going to go back to the other photo. Let's go back to the other photo, and I'll show you. When it comes down to where the shooter was at, you can tell you have on the top right photo, you have the roof that peeked out on the left. That is the roof that he was on. And then the white roof that was in front. Very simple. Not hard to correlate these things. All right, let's go back to Google Maps and let's address the length of the shot. How many yards it was. So if we go back into the shot, where did my Google Maps tab go? That one? There we go. So Google Maps, you see from this roof to here, the Hall of Flags, okay? That takes up, let's see if I can get the whole picture for the roof. It's this one right here. So we got the whole thing in the middle of the frame, right? So you got the roof right here where he was at because we saw this edge. And then we know the tent was down here. Now let me show you. I'm not zooming out. I'm going to stay at the exact same zoom in of what we're looking at. Now, this is not super scientific. This is not getting out a measuring tape and giving you exact examples. I'm just giving you rough examples to show you how stupid the 200-yard statement is. A soccer field is not 200 yards. A soccer field, roughly 130 yards, give or take. They're all a little bit different. They're not super standard like an NFL stadium, NFL soccer field is, but they are a little bit, the playing area of a soccer field is a little bit smaller than a football field, typically. A little bit. Oh, shit. Look what I did. I zoomed out. Let's get back into the position. I'm not zooming out. So we can see from right here, this is where the shooter was. This is exactly where Charlie Kirk was. Okay. So roughly most of my screen. Let's go over to UVU's soccer field. How big is that thing? About the same size as the distance or even bigger. That soccer field is much bigger than your traditional, well, smaller than your traditional soccer field because it doesn't have as much of the room around the field as like a football field would that are purposely used for repurposed for soccer. This thing is only like 130 yards long. Max is what it is. 130 yards. And that is bigger than, gotta go, hang on, where am I? It's the road, that's the parking lot. That's the other parking lot. There we go. I didn't want to zoom out. I could have zoomed out, but look at that. It's no more just random looking at comparing a soccer field to the size it's here. There's no way that is close to 200 yards. The reason why this is important is a 200-yard shot with a rifle is far more challenging than a 130-yard shot. 130-yard shot is not that big of a deal with a scope. It's really not. I don't use scopes because I have sensitive eyes. Generally, when I will look through magnification, I start bawling my eyes out. I can't look through it. My eyes just start watering. So I use open sights, but I could still hit a shot at 200 yards with my rifle because I know it. I train it. 200 yards, that's okay. It's not super challenging, but it takes some practice. It's no different than a three-pointer in basketball. It's not super challenging. Take some practice. It's about there. About 130 yards with a rifle with a scope. You don't need a whole lot of experience to shoot a sitting target. So people that are trying to say, oh, this was a hitman. I know we mostly squashed that at this point, but that shows you how dumb that whole narrative was. So dumb. Choose, doesn't it? Okay, put cursor on Charlie Kirk's tent location, right click, and choose measure of distance. Let's do it. Let's see if that works. I've never done that for non-roads. So let's try it. From here, right there. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Let me share the screen. We're going to go through this, Chris. Close this out. So from here, actually, I can't do this here. Hang on. Let me fix this. Even if it was a 200 shot, it's an easy. Yeah, for the most part, like I'm saying, it takes a little bit of practice, but it's not unheard of. But the 200 yard narrative, like everybody's trying to drum up these things that make no sense, that this had to be super planned out, super things, but no, someone on a whim could go and do this pretty simply. Most gun owners wouldn't do it because we don't do that. These people that do these things are mentally ill, in my opinion. But let's go from here and go to here. It tells me 0.1 miles. It's not even worth showing up. Like, here, I'll show you real quick. It doesn't work out the way we really want it to. 0.1 miles. Yeah, it doesn't really work. Yeah, that's all right. We tried. With a dialed in scope, 200 is easy. Yeah, fair. I agree with you. But here's where I also find a problem with it. Well, Tyler wasn't a gun. Tyler actually grew up with guns. There's a lot of pictures of when he was a kid with guns and going to different things. His dad was involved in guns. The rifle was his grandpa's. So he grew up around them. He knew what they were, and he knew how to use them. It's not that hard to connect those dots. But when it comes down to this, like this guy just went on a whim. That's what we're told, and I somewhat believe it. That's the part of why we're breaking all of this down, is kind of give you guys 100 to 130 yards. Good. Well, at least Google corrected that. You still hear 200 yards mentioned in many podcasts and on TV. It's stupid. 100 to 130 yards is about the shot. So we're going to use facts and we're going to run with truth instead of just assumptions. Now, on to the shooter and the timeline. Let's touch on that for a minute. And the text messages. Let's pull those up real quick. Let's pull up the text messages. Actually, let's pull up the video first. I changed my mind. I want to show you guys the video. Before I move on to the text messages, I want to show you the video. And I downloaded this video, so I'm not going to go pull it up on the internet. Actually, I can pull it up on my page. Hang on. Actually, I'll just pull it up this way. Ignore me. Charlie Kirk. Utah footage. There we go. So we're going to do this way. So I'm playing this with the browser. So everybody knows that I don't hear bullshit about it. You can tell by the link up here. I have the videos stored locally, and that's where I'm playing it from. So that's why. But what I want to show you guys, so this shows this video. So I have a few issues. Like, why don't we have the video camera footage of the kid getting to that destination from this camera? Because you can see it. And I got more videos to show you There was even a video that was released that showed a guy on a rooftop before anything went down. Easy shot as a hunter. I agree. The text messages make me more question the narrative more than anything else. I agree with you, Julia, and we're going to get there. But this is the video released by Utah County and UVU. It doesn't sound like you are trusting the plan. Nope, I don't trust the plan, and I don't play 360 D chess, 47 D chess, 45 D chess, whatever the hell you want to call it. I just live by the facts, and that's what we're going to go off of. Or the camera from directly behind, or where the white cap guys. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. That's a different situation. But yes, I agree. All of the camera footage should be released. But as we can see here, this guy, as you guys can see, he's running from over here. It's hard to tell from this view. Let me see if I do this. Is this easier? Yeah. You can see him running through here. You see him through the glass right there. See, and then he comes out over here. All right. Now, multiple of you guys have even messaged me and said, where's the rifle? We don't see him running with it. I agree. It's hard to see. So that tells you exactly what I believe. I believe he has the rifle. I don't believe the story that the rifle is not there. Because if you look at this, and that's why I paused it where I'm at, if we look at where we're at on the roof, you kind of see a towel hanging over something. It's not perfectly clear because we're running with cameras made in 1990, obviously. Like, we're lucky to have color, I guess, at this point. It's 2025. This campus and this university makes a ridiculous amount of money. We can't get HD cameras at minimum. We run with this shit? Really? How stupid is this? But, all right. So we're getting up to the corner. Okay, so this is where he's about to crouch down. I want you to look to his right. It's our left from this view. I want you to look right here. You're going to see a black object that looks like it's draping over something, like a towel over a gun. And we're going to try to capture this. I could try to do this in slow-mo and zoom in, but it only makes the video more grainy. So it's harder. It's difficult. The part, I just want to describe what I'm seeing here, which everybody wants to say it wasn't in his hands. It was in the, like we already saw, Candace Owens says they broke it down and it's in his backpack. I don't think so. Here we go. Watch right here. Why in the world is there this big square towel hanging down to his left? We're going to do that again. See? What does that look like? Well, to his right, our left. That looks like he has the rifle wrapped up in that towel. He puts it down and he's holding it like this. And then he's holding onto the edge, kind of getting his feet, and then he jumps. Now, that's about all you can see that I would say makes sense. What else would be in his hand that's flexible like that as he's moving back and forth? A towel, clothes, around a gun, potentially. Like, all of these people that are going around pushing other stuff address this. Like, then what is that? What is that? Now, we're going to play this a little bit further. So, this is where he's gone there. He's holding on. Oh, look at that again. Wait a minute. He rips something around, and it has right there, it all of a sudden got wider, like it's a towel wrapped around something that he's flinging. The backpack's on his back. And you can kind of see it right there. That when he's hunched over, the backpack is on his back. And then you get a better view of that when he's running. And you don't see him put around, like he jumps right here, gets his foot down, jumps. Okay. And when you look at him jump, you can tell there's something on his back right there. Something. That's a backpack. Why would he wrap the gun in a towel? Because he's in public. He doesn't want to be seen carrying a rifle. As long as it's a towel and it's obstructing, it's not as easy to tell. And you can see he's wearing all black. So with a black towel wrapping a dark gun, he can hold it up against his body. And unless someone's closely paying attention, it's going to be harder to see. Now let's see. And this is the part that I'm talking about. See right there, he picks up something else that I don't know what it is. Right? So lands, picks up something else, kind of struggles with it, kind of looks like there's something long, right? Right there. What does that look like? Does that look like a rifle wrapped in a towel? Like, this is the part. You got to look at this closely and just a little bit. If you want to zoom in and do all of the fancy stuff, slow it down, you can't, because this camera is only recording at so many frames per second. So if you try to make it any extra frames out of it, you can't really slow it down. It doesn't really work that way. So now he picks up something else and runs. But here's the part, like, I forgot. They keep going back to this. I want to show him walking. Let me fast forward. Okay, here we go. Here we go. They very well may have had HD, 1080, or even 4K and 8K cameras, but the terabyte to store surveillance is massive. I disagree with you, Chris. I understand why you're coming with that logic, because it is somewhat sound. But in a sign of a DVR or security cameras, if you're storing it locally like that, and this is where you're getting me to go off of nerds talk, it can be compressed in HEVC codecs, which are a lot smaller and are more flexible, as long as you build your system to work with that, which I would expect they would. Anyways, plus storage in the cloud, super cheap. So if you have all of your videos backed up to the cloud, you don't have to deal with that much storage. So this guy running kind of still looks awkward, right? Like, still running, has something in his hands. Keep going. It's hard to really tell. Can't really make a whole lot out of that. But right here where he's coming up, you're going to see he slows down. We all remember, you guys all saw the videos of when he was walking to the school at 11:29 a.m. He was limping because he had the rifle in his pants and his shirt. And so that's the thing, Michelle. No, like, we have pictures that they released of him going up the stairs. I want to know where all of the other footage is. There's a lot of cameras on this campus, guys. Like, one of these days when I have a couple hours, I should drive down there and get some video footage and show you guys, because there's cameras all over here. And there should have been a lot more released. But anyways, back to the story. This guy, you'll see him slow down and walk. I'm going to go back because it might be right then. So he's running. You can tell he's all straight-legged. Running properly. Watch when he slows down here for a second. Right there. Notice how he's slowing down, and he's moving his left leg. He's moving his left leg because there's somebody over here in the trees. Let me go back and show you. You can see them moving in the trees right here. He starts walking with a limp and slowly, as he's holding up the rifle up against his body so no one can see it. Watch. See? Walking slowly, and then eventually just says F it and just starts walking normally again right here. Okay, I'm gone. And maybe it's because of that tree. Maybe it's because of this tree right here. He felt he was protected from this person over here seeing him. I don't know. But all of these things combined tells me he had the freaking rifle in his hand. And that rifle, the whole situation makes so much sense. Now, am I saying trust the government and trust all of that stuff? Not necessarily, but I can at least piece it together and understand it. Now, this guy comes over. We all seen the ending of this. He walks normal, walks over to the edge of the road. This is where I think he has just stuff up against his side, so they can't really tell he's wearing all black, or really dark jeans. It looked like it was kind of blue jeans, but probably darker in color. I want to know, did none of these cars drive by and see anything? I would have thought they would have. But that's where, this stuff is. Some of this crap that's spewed on the internet just doesn't make any sense. They're not even taking close looks. I showed you guys a few things that stand out to me on why it looks like he's carrying the rifle. It's not like it was stored up there on the roof or anything like that, and that's a cover up. I want to know, like Michelle is asking, Are there videos of him going on the roof? I want to know that. How did he get on the roof? Here in Utah, we don't allow everybody to get on the roofs. Like most of them are locked, and you can't get up there. You got to have special access inside the buildings to get up there and get on the roof. How did he get up there? What did he do? Especially with a rifle in his pants and his shirt. What did he do? But this is just stupid, some of the narratives that are out there, and that's where some of this is coming from. I want us to all go through this and actually look at things carefully. Now, let's look at the rifle. Let me see if I can also pull up magically. Why doesn't that show up? No. There we go. There are stairs right outside, straight up to it. Those stairs go to the balcony. There's videos of that balcony, but that is one more level up. I don't recall seeing stairs to that rooftop of where he got. That balcony where a bunch of the kids were outside. I don't recall seeing stairs to get up on that part of the roof because that roof is gravel. It's not your typical roof. But Jenny, you ask a good question. So there's question marks that we need answers to on that. This is the rifle, which, by the way, guys, if you want to go Google this, go Google it, and you'll see how hard it is to find the New York Post article that released this photo. I tried to find it easily the other day. Normally in these situations, I store a bunch of the files and everything locally really fast because I've learned historically that it becomes hard to find or things get scrubbed. And so I usually take a local copy so I can refer to it later. I did not do that with the gun. I went to go try looking it up later, and I struggled to find it. I didn't even share it on my wall, and I regret doing that because then I would have actually had it. But this is the picture of the gun. Now, let me show you a Mauser. They're saying it's a Mauser M98 bolt. Let me see. It's the back of the bolt. And shout out to my buddy EJ. He called this out because he knew this gun very well. Very well. And I was talking to him, and he's like, maybe that's possible. Back here, right behind where the lever is for your bolt, where you eject it, you have right here underneath the scope another weird, like, it's hard to read, hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom back in here. It's hard to see. There's kind of this weird view, but it's grainy. It's hard to tell. But if you were to look at, because that is the safety on this bolt, that safety. Let me see if I can get a better picture here. Here we go. Copy image address. This is a picture of the bolt. That right there is when the safety is on. It's flipped up. And so it's kind of in your way and obnoxious, and it reminds you your safety's on. You can't really shoot this gun with this on. Go turn this off. But when it's off, it's folded down. And so with that, this picture, I can kind of see that bolt, the safety right there. And so you can kind of see it. So I questioned this rifle, if it was accurate. A lot of people, a lot of gun guys on the internet were saying this. And so I had to go and figure it out myself, saying that this could be a Mauser M98. It looks possible. And I have to agree with them now. After doing some diligence, talking to some friends, learning about this gun, this is going on. And this is why I believe that this is a Mauser M98 like they're describing. I questioned this gun initially, and some of you, I went back and forth with you in the comments about it saying I agree. But as of yesterday, I started doing a little bit more digging after my friend was calling it out that no, that could be. And here we are. This probably is the gun. Do you see a collapsible stock? No. This was released before that stupid video was done, and the collapsible stock here does not exist. None. Usually it will be broken down right here, and yeah, there's a trigger somewhere you can flip and it folds off to the side, but you can still fire it. But it wouldn't be on a rifle like this. Those are on tactical guns usually, or pistols, and they're called pistols, but they're kind of rifles. Fun little loopholes with the ATF and gun laws, which I don't mind. But yeah, no collapsible stock. This thing wasn't broken down. I'm sure if you wanted to break this down, get the stock off of that barrel, it's a lot harder than being able to do in 1 second as put on via that YouTube video we just watched from News Nation. Mainstream media is garbage. So yeah, I believe this is the gun now. Oh, good night, Jim Bob. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. No collapsing. Very easy to break down in a hurry. Not very easy. Facts. So this is where people need to shut their mouths if they don't know what the F they're talking about. Because this is not breaking down very easily. This is a full-blown rifle, and to be able to work on it, yes, it can be broken down. Yes, it can be taken apart, especially if they're made of wood. My grandpa used to refinish rifles all the time, as wood ones, and make them look all nice again after they got beat up. This one it looks like a composite or a synthetic stock. It's not wood. But overall, I do believe that this is the gun. Why is it in a cardboard box? I have no idea. I got that question, and people are like, well, that's for evidence. I don't think I've ever seen them put a gun in a cardboard box for evidence. I've seen them put them in clear bags and label them. But I guess there's a first for everything, guys. So that's a little bit of the breakdown of some of that bullshit. Let's get into the text messages, and then we'll wrap this up. We're already way over. Holy shit. 90 minutes already, guys? Holy crap. All right, let's get into the text messages. Text messages. First, I want to show you guys the press conference that was going on for the text messages, because I have some things to address. More ads. Thank you. See, Chris, it's ads. It's muted. Play. Get through these ads. So this press conference, they repeatedly call the individual, the lover of the shooter, a roommate, which I find odd, and I'll explain why here in a minute. Well, I already told you why. My governor is a pronoun supporter and loves to tell you all about them. And I believe that that is what they didn't want to come out of this story. They didn't want it to come out as this was some sort of trans violence or anything. Now, what this is, it's hard to say. I watched a true crime doc where they had a whole person in a cardboard box, so a gun is not owned. Wow. Yeah, that's a whole human in a cardboard box. That's interesting. All right. Take your word for it, Julia. Well, let's give this a listen.
The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson.
So wait a minute. When do we start saying, hey, they're in a romantic relationship, but you're going to call them the roommate? Isn't that why we have a significant other, or why this community says my partner? Why do we have to say roommate? What are you trying to do? No one says roommate when you're in a romantic relationship. If I was to tell my wife she's a roommate, she would end up punching me in the face. Like, that's how insane this is. Roommate? You just said a romantic relationship. Like, come on.
Romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following exchange.
They found a photograph of this note. And by the way, Kash Patel went on, I think it was Fox and Friends, some media campaign around this, saying that they found, evidence that this note existed, but they did not actually have the note. So that tells me it was destroyed. But in here, they're talking about a photo. Why did Kash Patel go on this media campaign and try to be like, oh yeah, we found evidence that it really existed through forensics? Why didn't you just say there's a photo of it? That the lover boy took the photo. Wait, why? Why in the world do we have to do all of this charade? Let's just be honest and say the truth. Like, not calling them a roommate, because it's not a roommate. We had to have a Fox News leak by a Fox News journalist and release the information that these two were in a relationship. All the way up until that happened, the media never emphasized that they were in some sort of relationship. They were running with the narrative that it was a roommate.
Text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for it."
I'm still okay, my love. Roommate. Oh, it's okay, my love. Good hell.
A little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you.
This is where things get weird.
Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogate.
Yeah, George Zinn, the guy who we talked about a little bit ago. That's who they were interrogating and going after. And along with, they also found a couple other guys I showed you guys on videos that were released that they investigated some other people, innocent people. Did his boyfriend wait for the cops to contact him? I don't think he reached out to the police. Is this correct? We'll get there. Hang on.
Someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but
Michelle, hang on. I'm going to get to that. I have issues with the text messages that are being released and them doing this whole thing because we are actually affecting again, you guys all know I absolutely despise this individual, Tyler Robinson, but he still has his Fifth Amendment right. By us releasing, by the department, this happening right now is affecting his right to a free trial. Because how are you guaranteed that you are going to get an impartial jury when you're doing this? This should come out during trial. You guys have all heard me this, and those that have followed me for a really long time, you guys have heard me talk about this. Like, let's wait until the court. Let's wait until the trial. Because you don't want this stuff to come out ahead of time and then start swaying the jury, because then the defense gets to say that they don't have a fair trial because there is too much information already released and everything is going to get screwed up. You have to be making sure you follow proper process. I don't like what we just did by releasing these text messages already. Also, I don't believe them, but we'll get there.
Most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
Here comes another weird one.
Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to.
Who says squad car? When you guys are talking about police and law enforcement, when you are describing them down the street or describing them in a certain area, do you say squad car? Just asking. Because I don't. I'd say cop car. I don't say squad car. We're going to get to why I'm pointing that out.
Chance it. Robinson again. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say
right here. So I commented a little bit early. This is where it gets a little weird again. So I'm going to point this out. We're going to go back when I called out
back Grandpa's rifle. 8. How long have you been planning this?
How long have you been planning this, right? That was the question there. How long have you been planning this? And the reason why that's an important question, like important to point out, that is the last message sent by the roommate or lover boy. Every other text since that was only sent by Robinson. And so we're gonna go through this again, but you're gonna hear all of the messages. Only Robinson is sending these messages. The roommate did not respond. Fine, but here we're gonna get to why that's concerning to me.
Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel.
Again, I'm repeating this. This is him rambling. He's sent 2 messages really long, and then I'll pull up the text messages and we'll go over them and show you how they release them. I got some question marks right in this spot.
Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say
Okay, right here. This is moved to another piece of paper in the text messages that were released. There's no timeline with these text messages. This is where I find this awkward with this statement followed by the next messages said.
Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K scope. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Took him forever to figure out what the emojis were. Like, Jesus. All right, keep going.
Robinson again. Delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering.
Weird.
Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate.
You are all I worry about, love. But it's a roommate. It's not a partner, not a significant other. It's a roommate.
I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent.
Fair. Glad he said that, because that's what everybody should do. Everybody should do. Whether you did something bad or you weren't involved at all, you utilize your rights, especially if you're being accused for something. Use them.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000?
More ads. Jeez, look at this, guys. Jeez. All right, let's pull up these text messages real quick. I want to go through these with you guys and go over the concerns I have. As we went over in that video, why? Okay, hang on. It doesn't blow up very big. So when I just pull up the local files, it's kind of difficult for you guys to read it. Let's see, where is... right here. All right, let's pull this one up. Rep Ken Calvert, pulling up your post, because this way I can at least show the text messages on here and they can get a little bit easier. So as you can see, what I was describing, I can't really put the cursor on the screen, but you guys can see the difference between Robinson. It's hard to read a little bit. Let me see if I zoom out. Does that change? No. But you can tell by the length of the name on the left, roommate versus Robinson. Roommate was a little bit longer than Robinson. The last question from roommate was, how long have you been planning this? That is, let's see, did that show up? Did my cursor show up? No, it didn't. Okay. That is in the middle of the page here. And then at the bottom 3 paragraphs or lines, you see it's Robinson, okay? What are these dots above roommate before the question of how long have you been planning this? Does that mean there was more messages that are not released and these are hidden and not released? Like, why? Why are those 3 dots there above the roommate name, like roommate? Like, what the freak? And then below the bottom section, there's 3 dots above Robinson. Was there more messages there that were not released? What are you hiding? Again, I'm painting this picture for you guys. Governor Cox is a big pronoun supporter. They're not calling lover boy, or partner, or whatever. They're saying roommate. When these text messages clearly show there was a relationship between these two. What was said in there, and was that incriminating to be able to go with the narrative that everybody questioned if this was turning out to being some sort of trans violence? We have to start looking at these things and really going through that. There's more of that on the second page. Let me see if we got that here. Where is... let me see. Oh, I shared you guys the wrong tab. Hang on. That's why you guys can't read that. Let me see if I can make more sense of it if it was done via X. There we go. Ah. Okay, hang on. Hang on, guys. I want to get this showing up in a better way for you guys. Let's see. Copy image address, image link. Come in here, paste. Aha, we can zoom in. Notice the 3 dots of what I'm talking about. Why are these 3 dots here? Why? Usually 3 dots like this, when you see this in a conversation, this is meaning that the conversation continued, but they're going to remove it. This is why it's important to have timestamps on these messages and know exactly what was done, or screenshots even. I would take screenshots, even though we wouldn't have timestamps. You wouldn't be questioning, why are these 3 dots here? You would be looking at the screenshots and you would know what's there. The other thing I want to point out, everything that was said in this, does this sound like a 22-year-old? I don't know of a 22-year-old that sends text messages and uses full words. They always end up abbreviating and doing things like that. I don't see a lot of that in this. I also don't see a lot of the words that I would expect to hear from a 22-year-old or 23-year-old, whatever their age is. It's right in there. It's a little weird. This whole thing is weird. And Michelle, those texts are long. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. Is I don't know. Why are we getting these text messages? Chris, you called it out earlier. There's a lot of crazy detail being put into these text messages unasked and unprovoked. He's just throwing shit out. Now, as I told my wife last night when I was prepping for the show and I was taking notes and those things, part of this, you don't know how you would behave in this situation. You just barely did something. You have the entire fucking United States of America looking for you. And all of this stuff that it's like, what in the freak? What the freak? And Terry, yeah, they use dots. I use dots in a lot of my messages and stuff like that. So inside the message, I get it. But when it's in between where the interaction is going back and forth is weird. Everything is abbreviated. My love is M. Yeah. This is what doesn't make sense, guys. This whole thing. All right, let me get to the next page. Let me go and get that link. Hang on. Let's pull this down. Let's get to that next page. That next text message page. Where is it? That's the first. Here it is. Copy image link. Let's pull this one up. Boom. Share this one out. And then we'll go through this. Shooter's text. That is not it. That one. So here is the second page of text. Here is what's weird. Why in the hell in this message right here, you guys can see my cursor this time. Julia has Gen Z kids. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, right? This doesn't match. This doesn't make sense. And if they edited it or something like that, oh, look, what's in this message right here? He's calling me RN. Randomly, there's just one abbreviation in here. Now, what I was talking about earlier, we don't know how we would respond in this type of situation. Most of us are normal. We wouldn't be in this situation. But how would you respond to things? How would you text? It could all change that in you. Absolutely. So I don't disagree that could be part of this. But the part that I don't understand the narrative that we're being told around this, all of a sudden, these messages are continuing and continuing. And then we get a message the next day. How do I know this is the next day? Those messages were on the day of the shooting, September 10th, because he was in his car trying to go get his rifle before he goes back to southern Utah. In southern Utah, that was where he was picked up because he turned himself in and drove back up here to Utah County Jail. I think that's where he was processed. But he was all the way down in southern Utah, 4 hours away, right? We already discussed that earlier. He didn't get there and send these messages. He was already in Orem, and that was up there because he was trying to get the rifle in Orem. But now, in this messages the next day, as we heard from the press conference, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it's very unique. He's calling me RN, not answering. All of a sudden, there's abbreviations happening. Like you're just saying RN. Like, okay, just now? You're not in all of the prior messages? Okay, got it. The photo is released. We know the photo was released the next day, and that was done by New York Post. So these messages must have been sent the next day. By him saying in here, my dad wants photos and all of these things, like, this is where the narrative starts getting super awkward and weird. I want to know when these texts were sent, all of these 3 dots in between all of this, what messages were removed and not displayed, all of this stuff. Why do we have to, when we have the government investigating bullshit, we can't have anything clean cut. We got to always have something stupid like this released. You can't get screenshots or take pictures of someone's phone and to be able to see the messages. You have to do something like this. None of this makes sense. Like, how did you do this? Did someone just type this out? Because none of this is making sense. If you just type this out, I could see at that point someone translating it to actually being in English and not everything being in shorthand. And then they forgot one, that RN. This is where I struggle with the narrative that we're told. And I'll be honest, like, if he openly comes out and says on camera, he openly comes out and says that he didn't do it, I don't know if I can push through the death penalty at that point. Now, it seems likely it was him. All of the stuff that we're seeing here. But these text messages look weird. He admitted it to his dad. And the pastor, and turned himself in, supposedly, by what we've been told. We would expect you to have the family getting upset and be like, hey, he didn't do it. But we're not hearing that. I'm not hearing that even here in Utah. There's a lot of weird stuff with this entire thing, and it even comes from our government, our law enforcement. Why can't we do things in a cleaner fashion and just get rid of these stupid conspiracies that happen? Because we do stupid shit like this, right? You give us reason to question. These text messages make no sense. How it's formatted and how it's in here is weird. Very weird. Patrice says, why in the world would Robinson tell his love at that time during the crime that his dad was a diehard MAGA? If they lived together and knew each other, the roommate clearly knew they would. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't connect those dots. They would already know, and they actually know that. The family came out and talked about how Robinson, how he has got more into politics and has been more left-leaning and hanging out with LGBTQ people and all of those things. And that's fine. That's fine. He's an adult. He can do what he wants. But now you clearly see in this family, there was a political divide. And that is where Charlie Kirk's assassination was political. Is this person clearly hated him, if we trust these text messages. But you'd have to really not like somebody to be able to take their life. So there's something to that. But overall, I want to know why in the text messages are worded this way. Like, why are they formatted this way? Like, none of this looks normal. But we got to question it to make sure that we know what we're getting into. But also, my dad in square brackets. So in the text is also weird. Did they change this to where, let me show you so you know what I'm talking about, because I just glanced over right here. Who talks like this? Since Trump got into office, my dad, square brackets around my dad, has been pretty diehard MAGA. Are they saying that was edited and it had his name there? Or was it really sent that way? More questions, because our government can't be transparent. No matter who you elect, what happens, the government's not transparent. I have 1,000,001 questions after these text messages came out yesterday. Now I want to make sure, do we have the right person? It seems like it, but I want to have this clarity because I do believe in the death penalty, but I don't believe in the death penalty by trusting our judicial system because our judicial system has been wrong over and over and over. I want to make sure it was done right. I want to make sure the right person it is being held accountable for such acts, especially one like this. I really don't understand why we can't have clear-cut evidence and data. It's got to always have this stupid crap with it. Stupid crap. But guys, that's going to draw the show. 2 hours. Holy cow. I was not planning on a 2-hour show. I was thinking it was going to be barely an hour. I thought I was going to blow through this, but look what happens. I hope I clarified some things for you guys and tried to shut down some of the shit that's going around the internet that doesn't make sense. Tried to give you my perspective and tried to give you these details that how I see it. And nothing's going to bring Charlie back. But the important thing is to make sure everybody has the truth. Seeing everything being spread around X and social media, trying to perpetuate lies and try to get clicks and go viral is ridiculous. I don't understand why we do that as a society. Like, we want to be popular for some reason. In my opinion, it's overrated. Because all you're going to do is just bring up a whole bunch of people into your business and talk shit. It's not worth it. Is his parents getting the FBI payout of $100K? Since he his parents turned him in, I think he should. But that brings up a question. There's some bad parents out there that would sell their kid for $100K. Not gonna lie. I'm not saying it's his parents. Sounds like his parents have a good head on their shoulders. Like, they posted videos of him reading off his scholarship letter to Utah State University. Which is very north of where he lived. So just to paint the picture, guys, like, it's a long ways. Utah State to where he lived in Washington. Utah State's, that's got to be from Orem to Utah State. It's probably another hour and a half, 2 hours. So 6-7 hours from his house. Yeah. Utah, a lot of people travel from southern Utah to the Salt Lake area, or Orem, Provo, which is the most southern tip of where the city gets big. It's common. So anybody that's trying to bash that stuff, trying to say, oh, why would they drive 4 hours? Like, it's common here. It's not unheard of. I do it all the time. But overall, with all of this stuff, I hope I opened your guys' minds a little bit to think a little bit differently and shared with you the perspectives and the data that I'm seeing it, how I'm seeing it. This is how we need to look at things, like the whole George Zinn situation, and we got political party garbage everywhere. He's showing up to both sides of elections, trying to do things and get involved, getting pictures with the GOP chair, and the GOP chair made a statement. Doesn't really want to get it publicly. Does the mainstream media address any of that? No, it's being hidden. Obviously, it's only on social media. Why are we not covering these details that we should be covering? This is why independent media is growing. People are actually putting in the effort. Candace Owens, garbage. She didn't even put one lick of effort into understanding the rifle, what was done. Does it have a collapsible stock like some of the narrative that she's talking about? No, the narrative coming from them is he stuffed the rifle in his pants and in his shorts. It wasn't actually a collapsible stock and put in his backpack. We went over the video of him getting off the building that very few people even looked at carefully. But I hope this helps, guys. It helps me going into this detail, sharing it out with you guys, so I know at least it's out there. And it really helps me process these things and keep me in line. because you guys, most of you know, I love conspiracy theories. I can go on all day about them. I want to eat them up, talk about them. It's fun. It's fun to explore that side. But in this, I need to squash a lot of it because there was so many fake ones trying to be promoted and created that made no sense. So on that note, guys, thank you for tuning in with me for this 2-hour episode that I wasn't planning for being 2 hours. But we'll be talking more as I get more of this stuff. I am on Are You Smarter Than a Politician on Friday with Jack and Burn and T. It's going to be a good game show. It's going to be hilarious. I took a lot of points from Jack. I think it was last Friday. So I'm sure I might have made him mad. We'll see. He might take his anger out on me on the show. But we'll have a good time. So tune in on Friday night at 8 p.m. on Freedom for Us for All on X. I also post it, so be looking on my wall if you need to there. I repost it. We're going to have a good time. It's always a blast. And we make Terry's life hell. And between the three of us, I'm sure it's not a whole lot of fun for some of them because we make chaos. And it is a blast. So be there on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll repost it, but it's on Freedom for Us for All's page on X. That's Free's page. And we will see you guys on Friday.